This video is documenting our 6th day in Israel, but just to give a little overview of all the places that we visit in Israel during our trip, I decided to show on this Google map. I put a little red star to all the places that we visited. So this is, of course, Israel. Lebanon is to the north of us. We made it all the way up to the northern border of Israel. As a matter of fact, one of the restaurants that we went to said, Lebanese restaurant. But you can see the little red stars just to where we were. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit here. There's the Sea of Galilee. We were all around the Sea of Galilee. We were baptized right here near the southern tip of Sea of Galilee. This was our baptism site. Let's see what else we have here. This was the Megan Valley Kibbutz. That's where we stayed for, I think, 2 nights at the kibbutz. That was a pretty cool experience. Magdala was right here. I really enjoyed Magdala. This is where we got on the boat for the Sea of Galilee. Capernaum. I believe we talked about that extensively in one of our videos. This is Nazareth. Let's see, Carmel National Park over here. So basically this is all of Israel. Tel Aviv is right here. This is the Dead Sea that we're coming upon right here. This is Jerusalem. The Valley of Elah right here. This is where we picked up our stones that I brought back to the States to give away to different people. Jericho. See if we can zoom out a little bit. So the Dead Sea. Then we continued to travel south to the Sea of Aqaba, which is right here. And this is actually where we crossed the Israeli-Jordanian border and entered into Jordan. Jordan's quite a bit different than Israel. But we took a little glass-bottom boat ride here in this Gulf of Aqaba, which is on, I believe, the next video, day 7, I believe. When we were standing in the Gulf of Aqaba, we could see the Egyptian border, which was to our west, the Jordanian border, which was to our east, and the Israeli border that was to our north. It was pretty cool to be standing in one spot and see so many different countries. I got some pretty nice pictures of the Egyptian coastline as I was standing right about here. So again, if we zoom out, the map catches up to me. There we go. Sorry. There's an overall view of Israel here, and you can see that we had a pretty extensive tour of Israel. I'm sure there was a lot we didn't see, but we certainly saw a lot. On December 6, 2017, President Trump formally recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and stated that the American embassy would be moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Just a few months later, the embassy was moved to Jerusalem, and this act recognized Jerusalem as the capital of the state of Israel which called for Jerusalem to remain as an undivided city. Our guide told us that American flags were just all over Israel when President Trump decided to make this move. And he said that it was not broadcast at all or in a very limited way on American TV. He said this country of Israel loved Donald Trump and was thrilled about this move of the American embassy. Our next stop was the Israel Museum. So before we went inside the Israeli Museum, we toured the grounds. This 1 to 50 replica of the city of Jerusalem recreates the city in the year 66. This was a spectacular city for the times, and the city stretched over some 450 acres.
Au milieu de ça, vous avez le bloc doré. Sur la gauche,
It was 70 shekels. They had to buy the shekel when money changes to pay their temple tax. There was lots of corruption going on, overcharge. If you remember, Christ turned the tables upside down. It might have taken place somewhere along this area. And then this inner building, courtyard, would be known as the Gentiles' courtyard. That was the last place the Gentile would be allowed in the temple area. And this middle section, there would be a fence around this middle area of the temple with a Greek inscription saying any Gentile going beyond this fence will be punished by death. So only Jews would be allowed to go to the next section, which was called Women's Courtyard, the last place where the women would be allowed. Then men's, then priests. You can see the temple. The inner third chamber of the temple is where the Holy of Holies, right? That's where the high priest would be going in once a year. Which day? When would the high priest be entering the Holy of the Holies for the atonement? In the Jewish sources, we are told that every time he did that,
Now we're about to go inside the building where some of the Dead Sea Scrolls are displayed. There are many documentaries that discuss how the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. It's pretty fascinating. I reviewed quite a bit of them before our trip. Pictures were not allowed inside this museum. I didn't know that until after I had already taken a few. They quickly told me that I was not allowed to take pictures. Okay, so we are at the Valley of Elah. This is where David fought Goliath. And we are on a little trail here going down to the brook, and hopefully I can find some stones. I'd love to bring those back as souvenirs, and they said that we could, so we'll see what that's like. I don't know if they replenish these stones or what periodically, but I'd like to bring back a stone from the brook where David picked up he had 5 stones, didn't he? Put them in his little pouch and used that to kill Goliath. Wasn't it 5 stones that he had?
I don't know how many he picked up.
I think
he took one.
Yeah.
One shot, one kill.
I read that David was a very skilled, they called them slingers. And it's not like a slingshot that we have today, but it's I guess a stick with some two leather straps, and he slings it around 4 or 5 times and then lets one of the straps go. And they say that these slingers back in the day, they could easily kill birds. They were very skilled, and I guess that was the talent that David had.
Usually these places have a lot more tourist spots.
So we're on a little path that's going down to the brook in the Valley of Elah. It is May, the end of May, and it is very hot. Yesterday, I think it hit 101 degrees. So, it's hot. We passed olive orchards on the way here. They have olive orchards here like we have citrus groves in Florida. It's really interesting to see all the olive trees.
What little animal do you suppose relieved himself right there?
Inconsiderate one.
Dog poop.
Little pile of caca here, watch out for it.
This ground is very dry. They say that it doesn't really rain here in the summertime. They get all their rain in the winter. This is an unusual plant. Almost looks like wheat. Look at that. What is that? Never seen that before, have you? Look at that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
This is a valley.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to keep you here too long, and we do want to get you some time to grab some rocks. Those of you who are a little bit taller than others, please do not wait out in the field. There's too much temptation. Okay, never mind. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're here where David fought Goliath, and you might have heard Asher say, we know this is it. This is an A site. And the reason that we know it is because we know the mountains where the scriptures say that the camps were located. And so right up there, if you look behind you, that is the Israel encampment. And archaeological dig has shown us the Israel encampment was right there. That's it. And then we have the Philistines are coming up from the sea. And so the sea is that direction. And so you would imagine that in fact these mountains right here are probably quite a few of them actually. Right here is the encampment of the Philistines. We know the Valley of Elah where it is. This is the Valley of Elah between the two encampments. Now what's going on? The Philistines are making their way. They are much more advanced militarily. And you heard Asher say that they have something the Israelites don't, which is called chariots. It's not going to get till we get to David that we're beginning to get some chariots. Right now under Saul, they don't have any. Now it's a little bit comical, interesting situation because what occurs is the Israelites are up there and they would start, I don't know if you know this, they would have musicians with them as they would go to war. And so they'd strike up the band, everybody would begin to get all excited, and then they'd start to make their way down the mountain, and then here comes the Philistine army led by Goliath. And so they go back up the hill. Now, the truth of the matter is the Israelites don't want to come into the valley to fight because there is military superiority by the chariots. The chariots are going to run roughshod over them, so they're pretty content just staying right there and say, come fight us if you want. They're going to camp out on the high ground and they're saying, come fight us. So the Philistines are making their way in from the coast, taking more and more land. A couple of interesting things here. Sometimes when you're reading Joshua, the book of Joshua, it seems as if all of Israel is conquered. That is not true, and it won't be true until David becomes king of Israel, and David is going to be the one who's going to actually conquer all the land. At this point, the Philistines are making incursions, threatening to take more of the land. Now, I'm going to say that we have a psychological story here, as well as a biblical one. And here we go. I'll read, and then we'll get into a little bit of psychology. I'm reading from 1 Samuel 17:31. When David overheard and reported to Saul, Saul sent for him, and David said, let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go out and fight him. Saul replied, you're not able to go out and fight him. You're a boy. He's been fighting since his youth. But David said to Saul, your servant has kept his father's sheep. And when a bear or a lion would come up and carry a sheep off, I would go after it, strike it, and rescue the sheep. And when it turned on me, I seized it by the hair and struck it and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he's defied the armies of the living God. The Lord, who delivered me from the jaw of the bear and the paw of the lion, will deliver me from this Philistine. And Saul said, go, and the Lord be with you. Now, a couple interesting facts about this fight that's about to occur. David comes with a slingshot. He has a lot of faith that he can take this giant down. Number one, what you may not know is that little slingshot can hurl a rock up to 100 miles an hour. He thinks he's pretty good with this little slingshot. And so he's not real concerned about how big he is, because no matter how big you are, that rock can travel pretty good little distance. And if you're good, you can take out that giant. What are we talking about? Here we go. Here's the psychology behind it. In order to get to the promised land, whatever that is, you're going to have to face some giants. And that's the reality. We would like to think that it would just be easy, just walk right in, but that was not the case. Second, the worst kind of giants are leftover giants. And if you remember, the Israelites were going to go into the land, but there were giants in the land. And so only Joshua and Caleb said, hey, let's go take it. The rest of them said, you got to be kidding. Those people are humongous. Let's go back. And so here we have a leftover giant. And the worst kind of giants are leftover giants. Giants from your past that threaten your future and steal your present. And so what occurs is David, having built up his faith, both in his slingshot and in the Lord, comes out here and says, I'll take him, not a problem. He walks out right out here, and he picks 5 smooth stones. Wants to make them so that they're big enough to strike him down and aerodynamic enough to cut the air. And so he picks up 5 smooth stones, and he goes out and meets Goliath. Goliath is enraged. Now, there's more to the story. When people were at a standstill, Goliath is doing something that was normal. You would have what's called a champion, your best. And you'd bring out your champion, and you'd say, you bring your best man, I'm the best man, and if I win, you serve us, and if we win, you serve them. Now, here's the reality. Truth of the matter is, it's more psychological. What happens after the man is killed, then they rush and they have the momentum, so to speak, psychologically, and they destroy them. That's exactly what's going to occur here. But Goliath is the champion saying, bring your best guy out here. Can you imagine how intimidating that was? How big were people during his time? Probably about 4'9". So they're a little bit concerned. Come out here. He says, you're going to be dead meat by the time I'm done. And of course, he hurls that stone 100 miles an hour. Goliath drops. He goes over, cuts off his head. And when the people up on the top of the mountain watching see this, they're like, okay, let's go. And to be sure, they rule the day. Let's take some time, if you would. And for all of you who face giants in your life, please feel free, pick up a smooth stone or pick up an unsmooth stone. By the way, I took one to my banker in Lakeland. He has it as his prize display.
Right.
A stone from the Valley of Elah. Please feel free. We're going to meet back here in
Back in the bus in 5 minutes.
Meek in the bus. We only have 5 minutes to make it to lunch.
All right, so let's go get some of these stones. You see, I'm getting it right from this creek bed. Look at that. And here are some smooth ones. Amazing. Let me get a few. I brought a little pouch. I did. Look, I brought a little pouch to put them in. Oh my goodness.
How small a stone did he think he used? Doesn't have to be very big, but it could be something like that. Like that? That might be a little heavy. But a little bit, maybe just a little smaller than that. Like this? Yeah, that's probably. Probably. You could keep in the palm of your hand. 4 times that size. He was a big boy. I don't know. If they were 4'9", I could have been Philistine, I think.
I'm getting some stones. This is amazing. And there's the creek. They are smooth for the most part. That's amazing. And I'll put them in this little pouch. I think I got enough. Oh, it's hot. Starting to get a little dizzy. I gotta get out of here. I'm going back to the bus, Fred. I'm hot. Look, I brought my pouch, just like David, and I got a pouch full of rocks. Go get your own rock, baby.
Okay.
You don't want a rock?
That's okay.
Well, I've got one for you.
I'll get one.
Yes. Very cool.